Hello and welcome to the Hannah Judson Beat. I'm Hannah Judson, and today's guest is logging in from London, England, pianist, composer, yogini, and much more. Welcome to the show, GéNIA.
Thank you, Hannah. It's great to be here. Thank you so much.
I've been looking forward to this conversation all week long. It's been like quite quite a long week, and it's only Friday. But anyway, I'm so super happy to see you. And I was remembering today how we first met, and I don't know if you remember, but you were on a train with a friend of mine going from London to Paris,
Correct.
and there was a train incident and the train
Yes.
was stalled for like 5 or 6 hours or something, and so you
Yes.
2 were having this amazing conversation, and when
Hmm.
you guys got back what got to Paris, my friend contacted me and was like, "I just met the most amazing woman, you're gonna have to meet her and be in touch." So it was from that sort of train accident that we
Yes.
met.
We hit a wild boar, and I remember that actually very well. You know what happened? We were going on a train, and that was everything was going well. It was very civilized, and then I decided to go to the bathroom. And when I was just coming out of the bathroom, I heard this massive noise, and the train stopped so suddenly, and there was like total silence. And then I was the only person who walked in, and everyone looked at me because they thought I caused something, I pressed something. And I felt terrible. And so your friend was really supportive. She said, it's okay, because everyone was giving me looks.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I can understand, like, the
Mhm.
timing the timing would be exactly wrong on that front. So very funny.
Mm.
So that was quite a few years ago at this point. So where are you right now? Can you, tell us
I
where you are?
am, well, I'm in London, and I've been in London since the lockdown. I think it's the first time in my life I haven't traveled since March last year.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. And yeah, so I'm in London. I've been in London. I completely revamped my apartment. So it's now a proper music studio and a yoga studio, but it's more like a music studio with a lot of equipment and things. And I'm kind of there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you go outside much?
Oh yeah, no, I do go outside. Not much, not enough, and it's terrible because I have a beautiful park just next to me, but I'm just very busy, and no one wants to go out at night.
Right.
I'm waiting for spring to come.
Right.
So
So how has this past year been for you?
it's been very strange, as I'm sure for everyone. Uh, on the good side, I haven't actually lost anyone close to me. A couple of my friends had this illness, but thank God everyone was okay. So far, I have been okay. And what I did, I kind of refocused, because until the pandemic, I always thought that I'm like an extrovert. And I'm absolutely kind of bewildered, because I'm thinking I am actually an introvert, because since the pandemic, I completely changed the way I work, what I do, who am obviously everyone else who we're mixing with, because we are not mixing as much. And as a result, it's been unbelievably creatively rewarding and creative.
Wow.
Much more, much more than usually in London, because obviously when you live in a big city like London or even Paris, there's a lot going on. So you go out a lot, you travel a lot, you do certain things. But when you're actually confined in one space and you started concentrating on your creativity, there's no end to it, right?
Right.
So from this point of view, it's been quite good.
So, did you find that your process for creation changed, or did you not think about it and you just have more time? Um,
I'm doing more things. My process, definitely all my processes has changed, but um, I thought this is an opportunity to try new things. And I said to myself, look, if I fail, it's fine. It's really this chunk of, it's like being on a plane. When you're on a plane, there's not much you can do really.
mhm.
That's the same. So this is my time. And so I'm going to do things, and some of them might work, some of them may not. So as a result, I got involved into so many things that actually I'm just thinking I'm about to take 3 days break for the first time since the whole year, because I think I need to like breathe and slightly maybe try to do less.
Yeah.
Just because I've started doing a lot of things I never done before. I've been studying production, I've been studying recording, mixing, all that stuff, which,
Cool. Yeah.
for me was a completely new thing. And Logic, of course, because I wasn't that technology comfortable, to
Yeah.
say mildly, so yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think that well, two things, but I just think this way of working really hard when you have the time and we have all these digital tools available to us, it creates a different kind of stress, and it also creates a different kind of pattern to your day where you're like, what if I do this? What if I do that? I mean, you can experiment with it,
Mm,
it's bottomless, but it is a different life in a way rather than when you're
totally, yeah. And I think I'm very much aware that this is a certain period of time. I mean, I can't, well, first of all, it's unsustainable from
yeah.
many points of view, but it's okay. It's okay. And also I think, okay, I'll take the best from this period, whatever worked and whatever didn't work, I would say thank you for having time to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
So I just wanted to say to our live viewers who are here, thank
Mhm.
you for joining us. It's nice to see you here. If you've got questions for GéNIA, please post them in the chat, and we can talk with you that way. So I just wanted to acknowledge that there's some people here with us, which is really nice.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
lovely.
yeah. So what have you been working on specifically?
Okay, we have time, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously I already mentioned my composition. So I think I composed about, well, for me, it's not just composed about 20 pieces, but I also recorded them, and many of them been produced and for different projects. Some I released on my own label. So I just released something called Monomore for Valentine's Day. I wanted to do it. And there I was really like, everyone saying, oh, what a lovely compositions. And I wanted to say, but listen to the sound, because I got it from I have an old piano, if you can see. It's a Steinway 1930. So it's a 90 years old piano, my poor piano. And I managed to get really, really, really lovely tone. So I've been working on a lot of releases.
Mm-hmm.
But also I've decided, because I'm also a yoga practitioner, and I had this piano yoga studio for about 15 years in central London. Of course, all this came to the close. And I decided that it's time to start releasing my tutorials, which I've been doing for the past 15 years, all over the world, in a form of video content and video courses. And that was fun to
So
do.
can you tell us what piano yoga is all about?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so piano yoga is a system for playing, initially created for pianists, initially created purely for myself, because I have quite small hands, and I couldn't I wanted to play Rachmaninoff Rhapsody on the theme by Paganini, and that requires like massive, massive stretch. And before I could only stretch maybe like an octave, and now I can stretch the tenths. So I basically was looking for a system which would allow me to do that. And there was no system available. We're talking like 20 years ago. And I was thinking, oh my God, I really want to play this piece, but how am I going to do it? And at that time, I was doing a lot of yoga, and I had an amazing teacher, because you see, your teacher can make you, can break you.
Mm.
And she was so good. And I thought, my God, I feel so good doing yoga, because she healed my back. And I really completely changed my body, my relationship with my body. I thought, how about I use these ideas and apply them to my hands? And I've been kind of experimenting. And then at the end, I created exercises which allowed me to stretch my hands and play this piece by Rachmaninoff. And again, during that time, I already was teaching, and my students were saying, oh, can we try? Can we see? And so I looked at their hands, and I was changing it, modifying it. And to cut the long story short, I had enough material, and everyone was saying, like, publish a book, because like everyone wanted it. But then I thought, okay, but then there's something more there. And I was doing yoga all the time as an amateur at that time. And then I made a decision. I didn't tell anyone, especially my parents, because my mother was horrified when I told her afterwards. And I applied to study at British Wheel of Yoga. It's one of the very difficult school to get to. It was at the Life Center. And I took 2 years of my performing career and studied yoga professionally. So we had to study anatomy, like all the bone structure and all that, which again, I thought I'd be scared, but it actually was okay. And philosophy, and of course the practices. And then I mix them. So the knowledge I took there, I derived, I mix them with playing an instrument.
Yeah.
And that's what actually piano yoga is a mixture of professional. It started as just a thing for pianists, but now it's actually expanded. But initially it was like Russian piano school with injection of yoga and other holistic principles.
Wow. So you know what? Well, I'm going to take a moment to post the piano yoga link in our chat, just if anyone wants to take a look at it, because it's so cool and it's like one of a kind. Okay, if anybody wants to learn more about piano, I'm posting the wrong link. Wait, piano
It's
yoga.
okay. I don't even see where you're posting, but
Oh, you're not seeing it on your side? Okay.
no.
So I'm in the chat area right now, and I just want to say that a few people have logged in, and Cyrus Simpson is saying hello from NC.
Oh my God, I see now all the
You
people.
see
I'm so
people,
sorry. Because I was looking, yeah. Oh, brilliant. Okay, so
Andre.
hello.
Yeah, so these people are here. Andre Mook is here logging in from the Netherlands, and he says, you say you are going to take some time off. So what do you do on your downtime to relax?
Different things. I usually try to go to nature if I have the opportunity, and like get oxygen and a lot of greenery, and that is the best thing, but it's not always possible. So another option, of course, I do yoga, but I do it every day, but it's like a part of obviously relaxation. And then I love watching movies. I watch a lot of movies, but like artistic movies. So that's
Really?
my kind of, yeah, but they require concentration. When you're exhausted, you can't just go and start watching. I mean, you can go and start watching Fellini film, but you're not gonna really, or Almodovar film. I love his films, but you really need to be fresh to watch it. So that's kind of what I do when I relax.
So with films, do you have like a watching list? Do you have projects that you're like working your way through an era or through a country or through a director, or do you just sort of watch?
No, I go with the flow, but I sometimes think, okay, today I feel like Almodovar. I'm actually in his kind of but sometimes I like watching old French, like Buñuel movies, Oh, I feel like an Italian mood. It depends, but I don't. When I have my downtime, I try not to schedule anything. I have so many schedules in my professional life that in my downtime, I just go with the flow.
Yeah. So, do you find that your interest in film affects your composing at all, or is it just different parts of your brain totally?
No, I think it's quite interesting because my music, like some people said it, quite a few, that my music is a bit cinematic. And I remember when I was a child, my parents always used to laugh at me because I would come, like, I would have to go to bed early. Like, I'm talking like I'm 4 or 5. And then they would watch a movie and suddenly I would come out and say, oh, there's a dangerous music. There's something bad going to happen. So I always kind of absorb the music from the cinema. And then I think now when I write, especially if I write soundtracks, I have a vision. Or if I write even sometimes a piece of music, I have a scene I can see.
Yeah.
So I think I'm very much influenced by that.
So when you're writing a new piece, what happens? Do you have an image first, or do you have a little tune in your head, or do you have something you're working towards? What launches you in a new piece?
It's different. First of all, it's different. It depends if I want to do a tune just for myself because I feel like doing it, or if I have a commission to do something.
Yeah.
But I think I start with the energy. So whatever I want to get into, very rare have a melody first. No, I wouldn't have a melody. I would think, okay, I want to tune in with the energy. So if it's a like for me, by the way, what is interesting thing about the lockdown, because until the lockdown, I found very difficult to write in major keys. All my music, 90% of my music were in minor keys. And I always find it so painful. And suddenly something unlocked. I had a project, I had a commission. They asked me to write really, really chilled music and like almost like a meditation music. And I noticed that out of 7 compositions, 6 were in major key. And I said, oh, I'm changing. So what I do, I'm trying to get in tune with the energy of the music I want to compose. And then it depends. Then I might have a tune and it will come, or I just set a mic on and start playing without analyzing, like it's very important sometimes. I think when you compose, at least for me, not to think as a stage one.
Mm-hmm.
You just get it you flow. So you record lots and lots and lots of ideas. Then you take a break, maybe even for a day. So just to get the distance. And then you listen it fresh. And you think, that is an interesting idea. And I had a couple of pieces which basically were pure improvisations and I hardly changed anything. And then
Wow.
they ended up being placed in movies, which is quite interesting.
Yeah.
But it's not always happens, obviously, because sometimes then you take it and then you use your head, you do
Absolutely.
structure, you do. So it goes both ways.
Yeah. Very interesting. So probably every project has its slightly a different path that it takes
Hmm.
in your process. Like it the information comes from different sources. Sometimes your information comes from really thinking hard about it, and sometimes it comes forward and meets you halfway.
Yeah, I think the first thing you need to relax actually before for composing for sure. You
Yeah.
need to let it come to you. I mean, look, when you compose, like I always find it interesting because of course we take credit, like you say, music by so and so, like music by GéNIA. But actually, can we really take a credit because it comes to us? We're just channeling that.
Yeah.
That's how I really think,
Yeah.
And I'm just grateful that it ends up here. I'm very grateful.
So, although you do channel it, although you are prepared to channel it by a lifetime of study and a lifetime of
Yeah.
practice and
Mm.
listening and thinking and diligently pursuing it. So it's sort of like you set the stage with the craft. So, how do you come from a musical family?
Oh yeah, I come from a very musical family, which kind of it could be both blessing and the other way. So my great grandmother was an amazing pianist, and she taught me when she started me when I was 4, and it started as a play, and it was wonderful because I didn't really take it that seriously. So she was a very famous pianist and piano teacher in her own right, and very famous name. So Regina Horowitz, who was a sister of very well-known pianist of 20th century, Vladimir Horowitz. And this is what I'm saying. It could be a blessing, it could be not, because when you grow up in a family like this, there are certain expectations which are put upon you. But unfortunately, because of the way I'm wired, some people say, oh, people who believe in astrology, they would say, oh, because you're Sagittarius. But of course not. It's just because the way I'm wired, I don't want to be pigeonholed. And
Yeah.
if someone expects something from you, this is already not interesting, right? It's like, I think we are all artists in our own right. So the good thing about it that, of course, I got the most amazing teaching foundation attitude towards music. I was brought up. I wish everyone could be brought up like I was in terms of musical education and relationship with music. But I did have certain, because of my family, I think I had certain constraints in self-expressing myself as a musician, which I only kind of managed to, I think, I don't want to say overcome. I kind of managed to come just to find out who I am much later in life. You see what I mean? So if I didn't have that, maybe I would have started composing when I was 20. But in my family, it was told, no, no, like I was little, no, 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 you don't improvise, you just play, you just practice, you just play classical, you don't sing pop music. Because I used to love singing, I used to have amazing voice. I could have ended up as a pop singer, but maybe in another life. So they were like lots of restrictions.
Yeah.
So, but like in everything in life, there's a give and take, there pluses and minuses, I guess.
Yeah. So did you grow up in London?
Oh, no, no, no. It was in Ukraine.
Okay.
So it was actually not Ukraine, it was actually Soviet Union. So it was a very different lifestyle to the one I have in London, for sure.
And so you were in the Soviet Union, and how did you get to London? What's your path?
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, that is like, if you believe in fate, that is one of those things, because so Soviet Union just collapsed. The country was in ruin, really, all countries, because economy was not doing well. And my parents were like professors at university, both mathematicians, and they were not, like, for a long time, they were not paid for 6 months. I mean, it was really, really appallingly bad. And then I had a friend who got into the Guildhall, but she immigrated long time ago. She went to live in Israel, and then from Israel she got into the Guildhall. But she was my school friend, and she said to me, "Oh, do you want to come to London to study?" And it was like, "What? Do you want to go to the moon?" It was like, it's ridiculous. Like, I said, "Of course I want to come." She said, "Look, there may be an opportunity out there. Why don't you try to enroll to play Mozart piano, early music instruments?" So it's not like it's called forte piano. So it's not like a harpsichord, but quite similar. It's much smaller than that. She said, "Why don't you try to enroll? And it's interesting. It's interesting as a career. Or we don't have it in Ukraine. And maybe because of that, they will support you. Basically, they'll give you scholarship." And I thought, okay, why don't I try? I mean, it's amazing, right? And then we didn't even have money to go there. So I remember I was recording the tape, and I was with my professor. Again, it was like -20 outside, and in the recording studio, it was very cold. I mean, it was crazy, really. And so we sent the tape, and then they wrote to me several months later, and they said, "Yeah, you are accepted," basically.
Wow.
And then they gave me scholarship, and that's how I ended up in London.
Wow.
You know.
So, and has London been your home since then?
Yes. I mean, I think when we met later, I lived in Paris for a very, very short time.
Oh, yeah,
But
right.
yeah, London was always my home since then.
Okay.
Mhm.
Excellent. So, in our chat, Andre has asked, "Can we hear you play a short piece?" And I wanted to ask you, would you be comfortable playing a short
I
piece?
can, but the thing is that my mic, which I'm wearing, is gonna be it's gonna start crackling. I can
Okay.
just try to adjust it, but it could sound terrible. Why don't you maybe first play with some of my videos, just so people
Okay.
don't think I play so badly, because it's because of the sound.
All right, let's start with a video. So we've got 2. What video would you like to, introduce first?
Uh, Maybe Babylon.
Okay. So
I
can you
think.
tell us about Babylon before,
Oh yeah, so Babylon, I was writing started in 2016, and I wrote it in 2 days. And the reason it happened, I was inspired because our country was very, very divided when we were decided whether to stay in the EU or not to stay in the EU. And it was so dramatic for everyone as a result of referendum. The society, like everyone, you would go on the streets, you talk to friends, everyone was in shock. So that was kind of my slightly connected with that.
Okay, excellent. So we will, let me pull it back. So we will listen to Babylon now.
It is on and thank you, Andre. It's on the CD, but it's also everywhere on Spotify, on YouTube. If you have my Spotify link, did I give you a Spotify link? Yeah.
Yeah, it's in there.
So it's everywhere, but I also have it on the CD. On CD, there are 12 tracks, not just one. And but it's a main track called Babylon, and CD is called Babylon as well. Thank
It
you.
and that is a remarkably just beautiful piece. Alan says really inspired music, and Andre was like, "Wow, this is great." And it is. It's like so powerful and so intense. So, who did you make the storyboard for the video, or did you have a friend? What was your thought for the video itself?
Well, I was working with a very good filmmaker, Matt Green, and I think we kind of shared the ideas, but he's a professional filmmaker, so I had some ideas, and he kind of made it into a story.
Hmm.
Um, and then we filmed a little bit on Eurostar. Where the piano is, it's actually where you used to come to London, where
Yeah.
on Eurostar there, King's St Pancras. And then we also filmed in the music store with the help of Marks and Pianos. I'm very grateful to them. So they just allow us to go and me play all the piano because I had so many there. And we were just walking on the streets, throwing music and on the tube. Yes.
Yes.
And yeah, I don't know if we were allowed to do that, but we kind of did it. So
So, um, Wow, yeah, that was very, very, yeah, very intense. And so, do you also have a YouTube channel? Did I put that up there? Just in yeah.
I do have YouTube channel. Yeah.
So people can revisit your videos there as well. So that's so. Should we like experiment with your piano live now that we've shown what you
You
can?
can, but I know that the mic, because I'm wearing speaking mic, I can do it a little bit. I can I just play you a little bit because I know how awful it could be when it's cracking.
Yeah.
At least I know because I always like get really upset when I hear terrible piano sound, and I wouldn't want to disappoint her. But I'm just gonna adjust here because I'm wearing the speakers, which are very very good for chat, but not for play. So I'm gonna just minimize it now. So my voice is lower now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. I'm just gonna play something gentle though, a little bit. Another tune.
Lovely.
How was it? How was the sound?
So the sound is pretty good for the situation that we're in. Yeah. So
Oh, good.
yeah, it was not crackly at all. So very good. So what was what was that piece about?
That called Sweet Memories. That is about childhood.
Okay.
And then I also have quite a beautiful video on my YouTube channel with that piece.
Okay.
Yes. It's like,
And
I was thinking it was a carousel when it goes turu, 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 turu. This is like when you think about stuff like that.
yeah. Yeah. So have you done have you done a body of work that is about sort of autobiographical topics like childhood and different things?
I think everything I write is kind of autobiographical, but the first album I wrote, actually I wrote in Paris. I thought I'm gonna start composing, so I'm gonna leave London because in London I just couldn't stop.
Yeah.
And so I went to Paris and I wrote 5 compositions, and then it was an EP. I released my first EP called Dreams of Today, Thoughts of Tomorrow.
Mhm.
And one of the tracks was actually called London Paris because the tune came to me on Eurostar when I was traveling, because I was still coming to London every 2 weeks. But in Paris, I was composing. And then so that was very autobiographical. Everything is like, even Coffee with Milk, I have track is the same, It's like it's about your sensation, it's about your experiences.
Mhm. Yeah. So we've got another video to watch. Should we talk about some other things first? Cleanse the palate, or should we? I just want to keep the music going. It's like so.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about this? This piece is called? I've got too
Oh,
many
Mon
videos open right
Amour.
now. Mon amour. So
Yeah.
did you just write this? Is this a recent?
No, so Mon Amour, no, actually. Mon Amour, I wrote first when I came back from Paris to London. And it was dedicated to someone special at the time. And it was released. And then a lot people were asking me for music, and there was one section was quite difficult to play. And I was thinking, I said, I'm not kind of 100% happy with this piece somehow. And I thought, why don't I slightly do another version of this piece? And actually next Friday we are launching a sheet music, so people can get. And then I thought, and also because my piano has quite a mellow sound, I'm discovering that certain music records really well on it and certain music is not quite. So that piece, in my opinion, fitted like a glove sound-wise. And I thought, yeah, that should be and it's also my debut as a producer,
Okay.
this is why. So that's what I released, and I just released it this week, Valentine's weekend. It came out on the 12th and the video on the 14th, so it was dedicated to that.
Lovely. So let's listen, watch and listen now. Okay.
Mhm.
That was so beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank
That
you.
is such a gorgeous song. So
Thank
as that
you.
I don't know if you saw Andre's comment, he said, "This is turning into a great evening with lovely music, thanks."
Oh,
So
thank you, Andre. Thank you so much.
so I was thinking about, what you were saying earlier about how you've started producing and, I've known you as a performer and a
Mhm.
composer, and so what's the different hat? Like how does it work when you're composing and then you switch hats and then you're producing? What are you doing as a producer?
Sound. I need to find the right sound. And sometimes it's very weird because, like this, what you just heard, I recorded within 45 minutes. It was just luck. It was the piano always has to be tuned, but then you need to find the sound and the placement of the microphones. And this was just, I think it was just meant to rock. And sometimes it's not like that. Sometimes you can spend 2 hours and you're not happy with the sound and you're trying to change. So that's stage one. You're trying to get the best sound you can. And then once you get the sound, so you do several versions, then you choose. I very rare do cuts. I like to
Yeah.
use full take, which means I need to be very well prepared, obviously. And then you choose the take you like. And then this is like you're using your ears. I now, because I'm kind of progressing, I have amazing headphones and I just got really good monitors as well.
Mhm.
And you just trying to fine tune. With the piano, I think the main thing is not to ruin. First, you
Mhm.
need to find the sound, and second, not to ruin, not to make it too echoey or too metallic, and
Yeah.
just preserve it. And maybe give a little bit of space because obviously I'm recording it at the moment in a small room. It's not a recording studio. So you need to create that. And that requires a bit of a dance, so to speak. It's a dance. And then, yeah, and then you need to put it away and come back in a few days. And then I give it always to master. So this track was mastered at Air Studios, which is obviously one of the best, but they master all my tracks.
Mhm.
But that is a final. It's like an icing on a cake,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know. So it needs to basically with me, when I already give it to them, I always think that has to be a stage where I'm happy to for this
Yeah.
to be released.
Yeah. Exactly. They're not cleaning anything up. Yeah.
No.
Exactly. So now that you're really taking more ownership on the producing side and understanding the
Mm-hmm.
tools and honing your ears in terms of like what you're listening for and how to then apply what you're trying to get. I mean, just that skill. Does that affect in any way, or does that touch your creative side, your composing, or is it sort of separate?
A little bit, yes, because when I'm composing, I just realize I need to be very clear. When I'm going to record, I really, really need to be clear. I can't just think, oh, maybe that, maybe this, maybe that. Especially not on my piano. I think it's also, you see, we're so much connected to acoustic instruments and they also have their good days and bad days. And this
Yeah.
piano, this piano is old. So sometimes it's lovely. Sometimes something can start cracking or something, and that would be disaster. So you always need to. So I am still experimenting because recently I recorded two very well, not violent, but very powerful pieces of music. I haven't heard them yet. I want my ears to rest because I want to see where's the limit to this. Because it's a small piano, where's the limit to this? I know it's beautiful for the mellow kind of music,
Hmm.
but is it gonna give me enough grip
Yeah.
and a powerful thing? And again, can I make it up in a producing mastering? There's one track I'm going to release in 2 months, which is quite punchy and sounds quite cool. But that we'll see. It's still for me, it's experimenting. But yes, I need to be very very clear, much more than before.
Hmm. Do you
Mhm.
ever touch electronic pianos?
I'm trying not to.
Hmm.
I am putting it away. But I did work with some people in the past, and I have to say we got amazing sound. You can, if you have really good like synthetic Steinway, you can get beautiful sound.
Yeah. But in general, what is the difference between that experience and then playing an acoustic a piano? What?
Well, because this is personal, because that could really, I think, send the emotions. If I feel something, if there's a basically look, what is music? We are we are trying to convey certain emotions, right? And people react emotionally to music. So if when I'm producing a recording, I have a certain feeling, and for example, if I want to draw in and I want to do like softer music and close it down, this piano can create the most amazing softness, which no electronic music will ever do.
Yeah.
And the same with the tempo, because we change the tempo according to our the way we breathe, according to how we function. And of course, you can't do it. I mean, electronics is pretty close, but it's never going to be, as powerful.
Yeah.
So for
So,
my type, so for my type of music, because I think it's very personal,
mhm,
I think acoustic is always better. If I was writing like very minimalist music, very like, yeah, it could work.
mhm,
But for this, I think for intimate thing,
mhm.
I think is acoustic piano is always better.
Yeah, okay. Interesting. So we have another question here from Andre. Do you ever collaborate composing music or only work on your own?
And I think I kind of everything I produced was so there were few attempts to collaborate, but they somehow didn't culminate in a production. Just I think it's one of the problem is people are very busy. So
Yeah.
for me, especially like in London with all the distances, and it was always very well. I mean, now people do everything online. Having said that, but before that, and it was always very difficult to organize. So at the end, you just go and do it by yourself, you
Yeah,
know. But I'd be very open to it. But then, it has to be a right match.
exactly. Yep. That that the
Hmm.
that the product is worth your time and also is something that is a valuable output of the collaboration that
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. And so we both have the same vision.
Yeah.
And sometimes with artists, it's not, and it's okay because everyone has their own vision, but we will see.
Yeah. I think there's something really nice about being able to work alone and on your own material because you can just work on your own rhythm and you can
Mhm.
push ideas through. And it's really nice to collaborate with other people because they push you and they answer unanswered questions or they'll bring up questions you didn't know were questions.
Of course.
And, and so in my work, I kind of swing both ways. I work alone
Mhm.
and then I really appreciate when I do have other musicians in my
Mhm.
fold. But I think maybe playing the piano, maybe that automatically isolates you a little bit. Like most
Well, it's a
people
solo instrument, right?
right. Yeah.
It's like a solo instrument, but no, we will see.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you write lyrics? Do you write songs ever or
No, I wrote. I actually had one song very beautiful, and it was performed by amazing singer Nick Selena, who was one of the people. We have this big show called Britain's Got Talent. So
oh
he
yeah.
was one of the. So he has a lot of fans. Yeah, someone. Yeah, it was called Someone Like You, actually.
Oh.
Yes. But I didn't write the lyrics. Actually, no, you know what, I actually co-wrote it with someone. I'm so sorry. I just complete That was the only piece I completely forgot, because I did co-wrote that song, because that's completely not my thing. So the with someone called Jeff Chegwin, so he contacted me. He wrote the most amazing words. He had chord progression, and then I've created like a song out of it. So yes, thank you for reminding me.
Okay.
Yeah, we should publish it. Really, we never published. We performed it, but we never published it. So maybe it's
Okay.
yes.
So that song was written for Britain's Got Talent?
No, it was written. It just a song, and then we were thinking he just loved the song, and he was kind enough to come to London and perform it. I had a show at St James Theatre, and
Yeah.
he was my guest.
Oh yeah.
Guest appearance. And there, actually, I was playing piano, so I was kind of accompanying him, because, of course, voice there is like, and he has amazing voice. Yeah.
So do you have any aspirations to like write an opera or to no or What will you be doing next?
I think, I think I still want to, I think actually maybe use more on top of my piano, on top, I always want solo piano, like piano based soloist, but maybe use more, a little bit more either electronics or acoustic other instruments with it, but where it makes sense,
Yeah.
you
Right.
know.
Right.
So I do have a couple of projects with voice as well. I don't know if they're gonna work. I have some crazy ideas.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, I always have crazy ideas, but I told you that sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. So I do a lot of things, and what people maybe see 1/10,
Exactly.
of what I do.
Exactly.
Like everyone, I guess, every artist, we do.
So what do you have coming up that you can share with us?
Well, I have this. First of all, this week I'm launching this yoga series for. It's completely sorry, it's not music, but it's related to musicians, for musicians and sound engineers, because we are all sitting at the piano, at the desk, hunching all the time, and I know when you sit for a long time, you psychologically think, oh, to go and stretch is such a big ask. Not everyone is running like you, Hannah, every morning at 6 a.m.
No, no, no. Is this transform your practice?
No, that's not transform your practice.
Okay.
That's I don't know if you have it. I think I sent it to you today, but I don't know if you've seen it. It was like a yoga exercise. I sent you one with the belt. No, maybe you missed it.
Is it foundation piano yoga or
That's a different one. Okay, so I have the
I've got a lot of videos for you.
no, but yeah, we have foundation piano yoga. So foundation piano yoga is a video series which are based on the book, my piano yoga book. If I have it, 1 second, maybe I'll have it here.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have it here. Yes, I do. Thank God for that. So it looks like that. So it's like this piano yoga book, but it was designed. So that's the book which allowed me to stretch my hands, and then just it took 11 years to come up with a video course.
Yeah.
So that's a video course I have, and every month I add a new chapter. So in 2 weeks we add in the next chapter for something called Yin Piano Yoga for stretching. Then I also have a course called Transform Your Practice, and that's something I'm really proud of because it's 4.5 hour tutorial on how to practice. And to me it was very interesting because it doesn't have like a dry information or you need to do this A, B, C, and D. It kind of looks at the practice and learning instrument from holistic point of view. So it has a lot of breathing exercises, it has meditations, obviously music advice, but also some things where I ask people to go within, like to answer questions like why actually you want to play an instrument. Just to get out of them things so they're quite clear of what they want to do, why they're doing it. There's a section of troubleshooting, so basically what to do when it just is not happening. So it's basically, I've started writing it at the beginning of the first lockdown because everyone called me, lots of friends said, oh, we're going back to instruments, we don't know where to start, what to do.
Mhm.
And I thought, wouldn't it be great just to have one course, and it starts from very beginning when you think, oh, I want to learn this piece of music, to the point when you say, yes, it's learned.
Yeah.
So it's 11 stages and it has yoga as well in it. So it has the whole lot. So, but this week I'm releasing on my piano yoga YouTube channel these exercises for musicians and sound engineers, because we are all, well, including myself, sit all the, yeah, you see, we all sit all the time.
Yeah.
And we don't stretch enough. And sometimes you think, and body has a weird memory, because if we're always sitting, it's just sometimes a big ask just to stand up and stretch because we are already comfortable sitting. So I've started it with these 7 ones. With these 7 ones exercises where people kind of do them next to their desk or next to instruments. Are we having some issues with the sound?
Can you hear me? Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm having issues on my. Okay, we're good.
Yeah, I can hear you very well. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is will be coming from Sunday every single day. There would be a video on my YouTube piano yoga channel as well.
Excellent. So great. So if anybody is interested in learning more about piano yoga, they should go to the piano yoga website.
Which is piano-yoga.com.
I'm going to post it again.
Thank you.
It's such an interesting practice. It's the only one in the world, right? I mean, I've never come across piano yoga or really music yoga or yoga for musicians ever.
But there is yoga for musicians in terms of physical exercises, and people are doing it more and more. But I don't think there is a discipline where yoga really connects with the technique of performing. For example, in January this year, I was working with teachers of all instruments in Holland. So I ended up working with a harpist, flutist, singer, and pianist. And basically they were playing, and I would look at it's called body mapping. I would look at their body and I would say, okay, well, maybe here we need to bring your shoulder like 20 degrees back, and here's this and here's this, or change the breathing pattern. And suddenly you can see that the sound flows.
Yeah.
And I love working with people because, you know, it's just so interesting to me. And it's like, you're like a detective because you don't know. I see the person for the first time, is it going to work or not? But then you try, and usually it works. I mean, I never had a case when it didn't work.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
I do think it's so interesting how the body is such a key part of your instrument, meaning that the changes that you make, like for example, singing, when you change the shape of your mouth, you can change everything. You can hit different notes, and just sort of it's from your thinking to your posture to your breathing, the whole thing. It really is part of your instrument. And I like what you were saying earlier about asking people, why do you want to play an instrument? That's a different part of your brain than just taking out your instrument and practicing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, in a tutorial, we say, I say, why you want to, and everywhere it's quite professionally done. So I have like charts, and then there's lots of, you know, people can download. So they take time to answer some questions. You know, you can't answer straight away. So the question is, are you playing for yourself, for your soul, or professionally? Yes. So the professionally, they could be either students or artists, right? Or accompanists. So, but if they're doing for yourself, then there's a massive range. Are you playing for yourself because you just love music? Are you playing for yourself because you have too much time on your hands? Are you playing for yourself because you have arthritis? Lots of people take piano because it helps them. Or are you playing because you want to do exams? Because I know some people who are obsessed with doing the exams. So they work on 3 pieces of music for 3 years, but that's what they want to do. But it's very important to have a clear mind why you're playing. Sometimes there are 2 reasons. It could be 5 reasons. So, and then I say, okay, you have 5 reasons. Out of these 5, let's prioritize. Because by what we choose, we're going to choose how we're going to structure our practice. So at the end, I give them tools, and then they structure it themselves, you know?
Yeah.
So
excellent. So what do you like about teaching the most? What do you get out of teaching?
2 things. First of all, I'm really curious in the human mind. This is why I'm also studying NLP. That's actually what I do in my free time. But I'm very curious about human mind, and so unlocking the potential of the person is very interesting to me. It's very rewarding. That's the first thing. The second thing, that is totally selfish, because lots of my students are quite advanced. So I like them to play pieces of music which I want to play, because when I teach them, I practice myself. You know, I'm learning myself. So it's really, really good for me, you know. So yeah, these 2 things. But I just love people. I mean, I love people, and my students are such an amazing bunch. I don't have that. I can't afford to have too many because I'm doing all these other things. But I have a certain set of hours where I'm committed, and some people stayed with me for 10 years. You know, some of them had 2 babies, had breaks, came back, but we have beautiful, it's like, and we do concerts. They're really interesting.
Yeah. So are you doing classes now on Skype? Are you meeting students that way?
No, not on Skype. On we do now, since I got another very good professional microphone, I'm doing it either on Zoom or FaceTime.
I see.
Yeah.
Wait, what is the second thing? Zoom or
FaceTime.
or FaceTime? Yeah.
Because if people have Apple, I think it's the best for sound quality.
Okay.
It's much better than, well, I found it's the best, but you need to have a good connection as well.
Yeah. So Alan said it's a two-way process. You can learn so much from your students.
Absolutely, Alan. And I'm learning a lot. And all these ideas for like my YouTube videos come from teaching and from lessons and what they ask me. I think, oh, that would be a good one to do.
Exactly. Questions that people ask are so interesting for multiple reasons. Not only do they need to know, but you realize that's a question that people need. So one day, this whole lockdown pandemic situation will begin to fade and we will travel again. Where do you think you'll travel to first?
France. I can't wait. Look, I love France. I have so many friends. My godmother is in France, and I usually go to France like 4 or 5 times a year, you know.
Yeah.
So I need like French sound and French food, and so.
Yeah. So, and by France, do you mean the south of France?
Both. South of France and Paris. I mean, I love Paris.
Yeah. Same here. I feel like when this lockdown is over, I'm looking forward to visiting friends. So I don't need to travel far and wide. I need to see people. I need to go where my people are. But when I think about trips I want to take, many of those trips are within France. There's so many journeys just to keep taking in this beautiful country.
Absolutely.
So we have been chatting for an hour, and this has been so much fun. It was like, snap, it's an hour. So I wanted to ask you before we go, and I wanted to ask you, so you're super smart, you're very organized, you're entrepreneurial, you have so many intensely wonderful qualities. You're beautiful, and your music is also so beautiful every time what you produce. So what is your superpower?
I don't know if I have one. I have no idea.
You do.
I have no. Oh, that's a very difficult question. You got me there. I have no idea. Maybe my inner passion, because that ignites everything I do.
Yeah.
And I really talk about passion and not the word drive, because that's a difference. I think my inner passion, because if I love something, if I want to bring it up, and I think we all bring certain elements, and this is how society develops, right? We all contribute in our own way. And I think if I can do just a tiny little bit of something good, that's good. And so that's, I think, what drives me.
Okay. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time today. This was a blast. It was a nice visit. So this has been the Hannah Judson Beat. Thank you for joining us, my regular viewers. It's nice to see you every week. This is another episode of the Hannah Judson Beat. If you liked this episode, please go to anchor.fm/Hannah_Judson. I'll actually put them thing to subscribe to the podcast, because I've started making podcasts out of these live streams, which is another aspect to this whole thing. It's very interesting and super fun. So I've just put in the chat, there's more podcast stuff. Thank you all for joining us today. And next week, I've got a guest, another interesting show. Ariel Hyatt is going to be joining me. I'll let you know the date and time later, but that's also going to be another great show. So thank you guys. Thank you, GéNIA.
Thank you for having me.
It was a blast. We'll have to do this again.
Absolutely.